my journey in my series of finding out what identity means in different aspects. As a young person, definitely finding out your identity is key and forms a lot of what happens to us in future. And I felt like as I should talk to another young person and find out a few what they have to say about identity and have a conversation on our views on different aspects of identity as a young person, because it is a struggle that we have, an issue that we may face. So join me in this episode as I talk to Rosie Nodele. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you for
I'm a
having me.
big fan of you.
Wow.
Yeah, just so you know, yeah.
From where? I'm not
Yeah,
even a
YT.
celebrity. Oh,
Yeah,
YT
YT.
Nation.
Yes. If you guys haven't watched, definitely look for YT Nation on YouTube and see the amazing job that Rosaline and her team do there. They have awesome content, and yeah, check them out because that's how I got to know you actually.
Wow.
Before
Wow.
I knew you now.
Wonderful. Thank you for watching us. And I hope in a small way we are impacting.
Definitely,
lives.
definitely, yeah. Just whatever you guys were doing was definitely an inspiration to even birthing what I have right now. Yeah. So identity is defined as who a person is. Who is Rosaline Odeh?
Wow.
Eh,
That's a good question. But I will narrow down and say first of all, I am born again. Yes, I am saved and I love Jesus. Secondly, I am a sister, I am a daughter, I am a friend, I am so many things. Just in one person. Yeah. And I'm a happy person, very jumpy, but that side of me, you'll have to see it when you draw closer, because at an arm's length, I am a very serious, kind of person.
Yeah, I did get that vibe. I did get that vibe, but I was like, okay, probably she'll open up.
Come around, yes.
So okay, I guess for me, before if you ask me who I am, I just tell you I'm McKenna. I'll just tell you my name.
Yes.
But with time, as I got to know myself better, right now, if you ask me who I am, my definition of who I am is I am a multi-passionate, I'm a visionary, and I'm a creative. So meaning I'm passionate about very many different things. I also am visionary in terms of I like to think from end goal, let's work backwards.
Yes.
And I'm all about creativity, doing things in a creative way. So I think that's, if I were to describe me in those three words, I think that would be it. Obviously, people have their own definitions of who they think I am. Keep them to yourselves, people. What? No, I'm just kidding. Like, I just don't like, I like to define who I am. I don't like letting people define I don't want other people to define who I am. So, I guess to start off, I feel like as young people, we do tend to go with the flow, like letting your friends or your crowd dictate who you are and what you do. Have you faced that kind of pressure, or do you relate?
I do relate. I think generally we are social beings, and so therefore our very existence is centered on communication and being in contact with people. I mean, even as a Christian, you are encouraged to constantly be in communication with God, your creator. So we are centered around, we are bound to interact with other people. And it's true, and especially in today's society, you find yourself in a space where if you're not keen, if you're not careful, utakuwa so pressured to do things that you're seeing other people are doing. There's always this thing about the popular opinion being fueled by society's ideals. And I feel like, especially for someone who is a Christian, already when you're a Christian, your identity is tied to someone else, and this is Jesus. So anything else away from what points you to the cross is going to be contrary to what you confess as a Christian again. So I do face those challenges. There's always this thing of people that, especially with TikTok. I don't know if you face this challenge, but guys, please, these challenges are is not to affect. You know, like you're always in a place where like, okay, challenge payment, okay, you know,
Yeah.
and sometimes some of these challenges are a bit, kind of funny. You get so there's a lot, and especially in our circles where you feel like you'll be left out because you're not doing what your friends are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I feel like that's what drives us. Like there's the fear of missing out and not
Yes.
knowing.
Yes.
Especially like for example, you don't feel like doing those challenges, but you just do them because
Yeah.
everyone's doing it. So
Yes.
you kind of have to do it because everyone's doing it.
Like I remember when this COVID thing started and everybody was just at home. There's this challenge called Don't Rush. I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And then I mean, I'm just there like, okay, you're dressing up, unaenda wapi? Because right now we are on lockdown. Even if you put on those suits and whatever it is you've put on, there's nowhere you're going. You'll just go back into your room and change. And I'm not saying it's bad because at the end of the day, these challenges were just supposed to help people come together and let me see what you've done with your challenge. You see what I've done with mine. I'm not condemning it. It's just that there was pressure. And so I was asking myself, even if I change into that now after that, yeah,
So you did not do it.
I didn't do
I
it.
also didn't do it. What was my reason for not doing it? I don't know. I'm not even on Instagram. Okay. Really? Okay, I think my like what you're saying, I get. I think my reason for not doing it is because I got to a point where I can't be doing stuff
Yeah.
because people are doing it.
Mm.
That's not me. I want to do something because I want to do it. So if I want to do a challenge, it's because I want to do it and I believe in that challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, why can't we have like I don't know like challenges for like collecting litter challenge?
Mhm.
Yeah, your people out there who make challenges.
Or productive challenges.
Yeah, or I don't know, like a challenge that drives social good. That's what I'm all about.
Mhm.
So if it's a challenge that drives social good or helps people in whatever way, with their self-esteem,
Yeah.
or a challenge that focuses on values that I are important to me, I will definitely do it.
Yeah.
So if you feel that challenge is important to you based on a value,
Yeah.
or you feel like this is something I want to promote, go ahead, darling, do
Mhm.
it, do it. I'm not telling you what challenges you should do and not do, but just find the root of why am I doing this? Is it for the people?
Yes.
Is it for the likes? Is it for the attention? Just that. How would you say, I don't know, like your journey of finding your identity was like?
On my journey.
Yeah.
Where do I even begin? I feel like, as they say, when you go to high school, that's where now you start. That's where now your identity begins to get defined. Because there you meet people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
You meet noisemakers. You
Yeah.
meet people who are hardworking. Their ideals are interesting. And then, for some of us who went to boarding school, now you're there with this person for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And they can heavily influence how yani your character. So for me, I can confidently say that I was just a confused person in high school because I didn't know what I wanted. I'm going to be very open. I was always the kind of person to go with what the crowd wants because I always wanted to fit in. In high school, kwanza mkienda funkies and stuff, you want to be on the prefect's list. Sometimes you do some really funny things to be able to get that kind of favor. I know people you resonate with this because somehow you've interacted with some of these prefects. So yeah, it was really a struggle for me. But when I left high school and I plugged into ministry, I go to CETA and I plugged in and I was able to interact with people who helped shape the person that I am today. I've not gotten there yet, but these people have really worked with me, my pastors, my friends I minister in the music team. They have really worked with me and they've helped me. They're the kind of people who will hold your hand and tell you you're doing it wrong or I need you to step up and do this. And you need such people in your life who will be able to tell you, walk in this path, don't walk in this path. So I'll just say for me, ministry has helped me to walk in the identity that God authored for me.
You said you're not yet there. So do you feel like we ever get there? Do we ever get to a place where do you feel you'll get to a place where like that's it?
Like, this is me, I've reached my elastic limit.
Yes, this is all of Rosie. There's nothing more.
Someone might challenge what I think, but I feel like you never at one point reach that place where you said, this is my end. Because I feel like every day is a new opportunity from God for you to discover something inside of you that you probably thought you never had. For example, if you decide to change jobs and you go into a new organization, and in that organization,
This is all of Rosie. There's nothing more.
someone might challenge what I think, but I feel like you never at one point reach that place where you said, this is my end. Because I feel like every day is a new opportunity from God for you to discover something inside of you that you probably thought you never had. For example, if you decide to change jobs and you go into a new organization, and in that organization there's a lot of pressure, you realize that if you're able to sustain that job, you're the kind of person that can work under pressure, and probably that's something you never knew about yourself. The next day you could interact with, for example, a policeman on the road who's asking you for a bribe, and you're able to stand your ground and say, I'm not going to do this. You discover, wow, I can actually stand my ground. So for me, every day is like an invitation from God for us to achieve self-discovery. I don't think for me there's any day I'll sit down and say, I know myself fully. Because I realized there's a time in high school, for example, when somebody really got on my nerves. And I just ended up hurling insults at her. And I realized that, by the way, I actually have a short temper and I need to work on it. So it's from that incident that I had to realize this is an area in your life you need to amend. Yeah. So for me, I think it's a daily journey into self-discovery. And how you do it is, you cannot live like an island, just somewhere surrounded by water.
Yeah.
You need to expose yourself. A bird will never know it was destined to fly unless the mother bird pushes it out of the nest. So you need to also push yourself, get into projects, engage yourself with other people, and above all, pray and ask God to lead you in the way that He has, designed you to be. Yeah.
Or to show you who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. I totally relate to that. And I feel like young people in the struggle of finding who we are, we mask ourselves in um, temporary masks that fit to the status quo at that particular moment. And I feel like I don't know why we like hiding behind masks. I don't know, because I really try to wonder, like, why would you want to hide behind that mask? For how long will you hide behind? I don't know, the filters, yeah, or whatever mask that you have on. Because I just feel like it's a struggle that young people face, hiding behind masks. I don't know. I guess for me, what my reason for hiding is because I did not want people to know who I am. I thought, like, if they know who I am, they will not like me. Yeah, so it's better to put on something,
A mask.
yeah, something likable,
Yes.
to show the world something likable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are beings that operate on acceptance.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nobody on the face of this earth who can stand and say they do not have that innate desire to belong, to be a part of something. And so many young people, especially, because again, as we've said, when you're young, those are the foundational years of discovering who you are, getting into this, getting yourself involved in that. So you find yourself putting on a mask so that you are accepted by a certain group of people, maybe your friends, maybe the people who you study with. And it can happen. I mean, I don't think there's any person who can say that they've never felt that pressure. Because, like I said, we all have a desire to belong. So I guess the one thing that I could tell young people is find out what you want to belong to. You know, because if right now if I want to say I want to belong to a kind of group of people who wear expensive clothes, I need to figure out how I'll be able to afford it. And if I'm not, this is what I'm trying to say. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say I don't have that money to buy those clothes. I don't have this money to go for that Diani trip. It's okay to just be, to not be there when people are posting photos, and it's okay. I think that society has put so much pressure on young people that there's this fear of missing out.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a gospel we need to preach and say it is okay. You don't have to cut your coat according to your size. Yeah.
True. And if the crowd you're hanging around with probably make you feel a certain way, I think it's then time you change.
Yes.
The crowd.
Yes.
And I say that from a place of experience where I did have to change my kind of crowd, because there's a certain way there's a direction I wanted to go, and I was like, with the kind of crowd I am, because like sometimes you share like some goals with people, and they're like, yes. I like, don't you think that's like a bit too ambitious or a bit too far-fetched? You need to like live life, you only live once, and you need to like chill. So I was like, okay guys, I have this goal, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that, but they were not in that space.
Yes.
So I could not get frustrated at them, because that's their way of thinking. I just had to change crowds and find people who were thinking like I am thinking, where we're thinking forward wise. We want to do this, we want to do that. How do we get there? Yeah. And it's really so funny when people tell me that I'm beyond my years. Like you're like, hey, you're like, so you got your life figured out and stuff. I'm like, it's because of the people I hang out with.
Yes.
You should see them. You should hear what their aspirations are. Like those are the people. I think what I learned from my young age is where they say that you are like an average of the 5 people you hang around with.
Yes.
And after I think knowing that, I looked for people who were not exactly in my space, but I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm around people who are always making me feel uncomfortable. Oh, you need to work on that. These are areas you need to work on. These are areas you need to work on. So when people tell me like, oh, you're so ambitious or something like that, I'm like, yo, do you know my friends? My friends are way more ambitious.
No, there's someone who said if your dreams do not scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough.
Yes.
And I feel like young people, we need to understand that you need people in your corner who will cheer you on despite your current demographics.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you come from, whether you stay in Lavington or in Quebec, wherever you come from, it does not matter. For as long as, like for example, if I'm friends with you and I don't come from, these leafy suburbs, I'm supposed to be able to, you're supposed to actually be able to see beyond my current state and be like, this is our dream. What's your dream? Challenge each other to become better, to actually become people who add on to the society instead of taking away. I think that's the most important thing.
Yes, I agree. I'm just remembering before, like the kind of conversations we used to have with my friends, or mostly like the next form, the next plot. Then I moved to that, to being around people who are also young. We always think that that's what everyone else is thinking, but there's a breed of young people who are like, when you sit down with them, they're talking about like business opportunities, career opportunities, how to grow themselves, and it was so different for me to move from like the next plot or the next trip we're going to like the next venture.
Thinking about, ukifikiria maplot na nini tunakula wapi, that's short term.
Yes.
Now when you surround yourself with people who are thinking along the lines of long term, you even start to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because with long term, you never know what's gonna come. But with short term,
Exactly.
you know, tutaenda KFC tukule, tujibambe, na
Yeah.
ishe hivyo.
Yeah.
But with long term, it's a journey. And when you're walking in a journey, you need people who are, they're strong, they can withstand storms that are going to come, and storms are bound to come,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my take.
Ah, yeah, that's definitely interesting. Because, yeah, I always get uncomfortable when I'm around my friends. Because they're talking about like such big things,
Yes.
and I'm like, yo, we're only 20. We're only 20, like, but they see these things and they're ambitious and they're going out there. So, like, for young people out there thinking that all people do is, I don't know, drink and go out and party, there are other breed of young people who are the next big thing. Yeah. And you'll be wondering at 30, what was I thinking? Or what did I do in my 20s? Yeah, because I feel like this is around the real, like this is the age where we're most energetic.
Yes.
And we should definitely take the time to do more.
Yeah.
More. And we have, like what you're saying, we have the freedom to like explore
Yeah.
and try out stuff, and not in the like other like
And a negative
explore.
aspect. Yeah.
No, but in a really good, and discover who you are.
Yes.
So if you are not really sure of who you are,
Yes.
this is an opportunity for you to discover who you are and find out more about yourself.
Exactly.
With that said, I don't know what you feel about like if for example in the area of like this society, what society thinks is an ideal woman, man. So like what if who you are is not acceptable in the society? Like as a lady, I'm more aggressive, I'm more outspoken, and that is maybe not the ideal. Or like a man, you're more of the emotional type or the more soft spoken. So what happens in that state? Do you like change now to become that? If you're a lady who's aggressive, you should become soft spoken. Or if you're a guy, you should like man up and stuff.
I think that's a really interesting question, because I know with society today, there's always this saying, wanasema, the tears of a man should go back. Yani iende kwa tumbo. It should never come out. My opinion is this. Our character is also heavily dependent on how we were raised, our environment where we were growing up. So you really can't attack somebody because, or you can't attack a lady because she's aggressive or because she's assertive and she goes for what she's a go-getter. You know, that those were the things that were inculcated in her, probably by her parents or her guardians. Or a man who is emotional, he is not afraid to say, this has hurt me. I don't think we should throw stones at people. But here is where I draw the line. Just make sure that there is an element of humanity inside of you whenever you're interacting with anybody. Because I don't know, that whole thing, especially with men who are always like, kuwa mwanaume, stop crying, nini. You find that most of the people who are committing suicide are men because they are afraid to express themselves. Because society will always be like, look at this person, he's a weakling, you know. So for me, what I tell people, just accept people for who they are. And when it comes to your identity, do not try and force what you think is right on somebody else. Because we can't, all of us, always be right.
True.
You understand?
Yeah.
So don't force what you think is right on somebody else.
Yeah, and I do know such people who force their people. And it's usually like I think we also cave when you're around. If you're not as strong and you don't know have a sense of yourself, you will definitely if you don't know yourself, if you don't know your identity, the world is very ready to tell you who they think you should be. Exactly. That's it. I think that's why I'm so big on identity. Like if you don't know who you are, if you're confused about it, if you're not sure, and you leave it to the world, they will dictate. They are very ready. There are people out there very ready to tell you who you should be. Yeah. And you'll be, I don't know, at the end of your life, midlife, whatever point you'll be realizing this is not even who I am. This is who I don't know. I let other people dictate to me. So I'm just definitely a big person on discovering who you are, discovering your identity. Because if you don't do so, you'll be told who you should be by the world, And what I don't know, I feel you're also a very like strong person and grounded person, and you have a sense of who you are.
Yeah.
What keeps you grounded? Like what is like your anchor that keeps you from caving into like the peer pressure or like world, the society?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting that you would say that I am a grounded person. Oh my goodness. Let's just say that every day is, I'm trying every day, because you cannot deny the fact that the world has its own winds that will always rock your boat.
True.
So my anchor, confidently I say, is Christ. It's Jesus. There's a scripture in Philippians 3 where Paul was saying, let me just paraphrase. He was telling people, you think that you're a good doctor. I can show you that I'm better than you. You know, he was trying to say, in short, that he has a lot of things, he as Paul, that he can brag about when it comes to the physical achievements, like I have this, I have that. But he said, all that is nothing compared to knowing God, compared to knowing Christ. In short, my identity based on my achievements cannot be compared to my identity in Christ. And that is one scripture that has been keeping me going, because at the end of the day, I do not want to have all these cars, all this prestige, all these things, and lose out on a chance to draw my identity from Christ. Because that is the one that will take me from here till eternity. So for me, number one, just ensuring that I am in constant communication with God, even on days when it is hard, because there are days that will just be like, you don't even want to get out of bed. But you just push yourself, knowing that there's a God who is in your corner and he's cheering you on. And one thing I learned about God is that he will always counter the thoughts that you keep in your mind that he doesn't have in his. You remember when Jeremiah was telling him, I'm too young, I can't be a prophet.
Yeah.
God was like, no. Who says you are too young? Because if it did not come from God, then it is not true. The other thing, the company I keep, and I can say this very confidently, my friends, am I allowed to say them? Shout out. Okay, anyway.
Yeah,
my friends, especially from where I minister, Deborah, if you're watching this, please know. She is one person who will tell you, this is wrong, this is right, and she will stand by it. You need those kind of people, because we are walking a journey of faith. You need the kind of people who will keep you in check. The other thing is, how do I say this? Ensuring that everything that I do does not compromise my own values, because everybody has their own measure of values. You understand?
Yeah.
So I need to ensure that whatever somebody is telling me to do, I will compare it with what I stand for. And if I don't stand for that, I will not do it. No apologies. Yes.
That is some legit stuff there. Now I understand how you got here. But like you said, it's a journey. We're constantly trying.
Yeah.
And I personally would say I don't think I'd differ from that. It's definitely communication, constant communication with your creator. Because I feel like he created you, he knows more about you. I don't know why you should go consulting other people about yourself. You just go and talk to him who created you and formed you. I think that he knows me and he loves me, that keeps me grounded for sure. And finally, what would you say to a young person out there struggling with their identity, struggling to find out who they are? What would be your advice to them?
Okay. Just to go back as I answer your question, I think it's also important to take note of what people say about you.
Okay.
But in this light,
There
are some things about you that you won't know until somebody comes and tells you. For example, if I interact with you more, I'll come and tell you, McKenna, you are quick to judge people. I'm not saying you should take everything you're told, But there's always that measure, which is Jesus, which is God. Try and make sure that you're not just dismissive of everybody. I know who I am, don't tell me. Make sure that at the end of the day, even as you listen to what people are saying about you, there's always that person who will confirm or deny. Because sometimes you will be told, but probably by your friend, Makena, you're selfish. And probably it's true. You understand?
Yes.
So it's important to listen, but have a blueprint. Your ears should be like a cell membrane. It's selectively permeable. Okay, we don't talk about biology, but anyway.
That's some big stuff. You lost me there, but I get what you're saying. So, for example, if my friend tells me you're selfish, so what should I do about that?
Check yourself. Check your life. Look back. Look at the situation in which she determined you to be a selfish person. Is it true? If it's not true, then dismiss it. If it is true, that this is where most human beings go wrong. If it is true, we are so like I can't. No, you can't tell me that.
Yeah.
It's so difficult to swallow humble pie and accept. Yeah. So I feel like
I agree with you, because when you're saying that, I remember not so long ago, a friend of mine did point out something, and I was like, no, that's not me. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Yeah.
In fact, you've insulted me.
You take offense.
Yeah.
You're always on the defensive.
Yes.
And sometimes we end up missing out on a lot.
True.
So I'm not saying that you should listen to what people are saying and take it all in without putting it up against a measure.
True.
And our blueprint is Christ, the life he lived. Was he merciful to people? Are you merciful? You shall know them by their fruits. He was caring to even the less fortunate. Are you the same? Understand?
Yes.
And to young people out there who are struggling with their identity, I'll just tell you this. Every person on this earth was created by God in a unique way. There's something unique that you carry inside of you. There's an ingenuity inside of you that God wants to see you walking in. And so do not be quick to follow the crowd. Do not be quick to say, I'm doing this because my friends are doing it. Walk in step with your God. Let him lead you in the ways that he authored for you from before, as the scripture says. He already predestined these things for us. And when you walk with God, you're able to unlock the creativity that he wired inside of you. You see, like the way we are seated in this room, I don't know how to operate this light, but somebody else knows. I don't know how to operate the camera, but somebody else knows. And I feel like I don't need to be put in a space where I must know how this camera works, because probably the majority in the room know how to do it.
Yeah.
I need to walk in my own space and appreciate it for what it is, and appreciate the person that you are, and go for your dreams and your visions without, being swayed by the winds of this world. Yeah.
I will not add anything more. I feel like you said it, and thank you so much for just opening up and being candid and being open to having a conversation on identity, even as a young person. This was a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
We should have more of this.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm only one call away.
Yes. Thank you for coming on and being open to have this conversation, and definitely look forward to having more conversations about different issues that affect young people.
Thank you for
doing.